Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Keep the Mic On. I am Simply Sherry. I am one of your hosts here among this collective of awesomely talented women who get to have conversations with a lot of interesting people and poets and artists across all medias. I would tell you more about what my night is, but since my night is tonight, I'm just going to go ahead and kick it to our newest member, Miss Cayenne.
Woo! Hey everybody, I'm Miss Cayenne. I'm a poet and I know it. I am, as Simply Sherry stated, one of the newest members of Keep the Mic On, and my segment is called Passion Projects, the root of your why. This is where we get a little deeper dive into the any bitsy details of who the person is and why they do what they do. So excited to be a part of this wonderful Supergirl team. And I'm going to kick it over to Kaniki J.
Thank you so much, Miss Cayenne, and welcome everybody. Today is going to be awesome. Today is going to be amazing. I know I said this every week, but I'm super duper excited about our special guest tonight. My week is called Poets and Platforms, where I interview poets who have platforms for the arts. We have been we're going on to next month. Next month it'll be 2 years since we have presented Keep the Mic On. And if you would like to have us to keep the mic on, you can support us. Look at the bottom of your screen. This is how you support us, because these guests come on here for free. These platforms are not free. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to support us, and any amount will do, because every dollar counts. Yes, looking girl genius. That's so funny. Yes. So this is time for you to tell your mom and them and everybody that we are on live, and they've been missing it. Y'all, where have you been? Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. We are Keep the Mic on all platforms. So I am going to kick it to the one, the only. They don't call her the girl genius for nothing.
Hi, everyone. I am Girl Genius. Good to be here this evening. My week is, let's talk about the ... usually book but mostly like tangible projects. So I like to kind of dig into the how we got to the finished product, the steps behind it, all the burning questions that mostly authors or creatives want to know about how to actually get your stuff out there. That's most of my thing. I am what is it? First week of every month. Mm-hmm. So I will be back with you on March the 6th. Yay, I'm excited. However, I am also super excited for tonight because we have somebody I like very much who is very awesome and very cool and is going to do great on this show this evening. And since it is not my week and I'm ready to dig into this interview, I am going to pass it to tonight's hostess with the mostest. That would be that way, Simply Sherry.
Hey everybody. So my night is tonight, third Sundays of the month, and we call this segment From Behind the Microphone. And this is where I take the time to talk to and get to know the person behind the poems, the person behind the art. And tonight is an extremely special event, special person. Definitely when it comes to the Baltimore scene. If you have been to a poetry event in Baltimore, you have met Aquil Mizan, because more likely than not, he is sitting on the door. Hey, Aquil.
Hey, how you doing?
Well. Aquil Mizan is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, who's a poet, songwriter, MC, and a saxophonist, who's been writing for a number of years, the vast majority of which has centered around edutainment. Brother Aquil has been present in the Baltimore art scene since 1999 as a poet, the most trusted doorman at abundance of poetry venues, and a patron of the arts in general. Mr. Mizan has been blessed to produce 11 CDs of his work, the first of which, From the Heart of a Good Fellow, was released in February of 2002. His latest project, The Content of Her Character, was released in November 2014. And I want to read this at the start of our day because I thought this was such a beautiful tribute to you. Everyone knows we have a male member who helps us on the back end, who helps us advertise the show week over week. And he always likes to put in a quip of some sort into his post when he makes it. So this week, Analysis said, for many years now, Baltimore has had a member of the spoken word community that has been foundational to its growth and success. Indeed, he's been a keel to help steady us and get us through the ever-changing waters of operating and performance venues. So I wanted to say, I was like, oh, way to go, Analysis. That was so sweet. So everyone, I am going to exit off screen and I'm going to let Aquil give us a poem.
Okay. So this in December of 2020, I was on Instagram and I saw my goddaughter's IG stories that she was not feeling well and had some symptoms that she thought might have been COVID. And immediately after I listened to it, I thought about a number of things I wanted to put, in her ear and, and prayerfully into her spirit. But as I thought about it, I thought it was like, maybe it might sound too religious or too cliche. So I said, maybe if I put it in a poem, it'd be more palatable. And this is what came out. It's called Healing Energy. Beloved, prayfully I'm blessed to pick just the right jewels and pearls of wisdom that your crown chakra is embellished in a manner that inspires your mind, body, and soul away from what's hellish. As you face the challenges of life, your village is in prayer for your holistic wellness. In a choir of unity, harmoniously drowning out negativity with positivity with the sound that pierces the environment like the siren of a cop car. Galvanizing the community like Bilal delivering the Adhan, a call to prayer, we say Allahu Akbar, meaning God is the greatest. Regardless to the hardness of whatever you're faced with, no weapon formed against the righteous will prosper. Smile. I see the correct pronunciation got marred, but I'm thinking you heard the view that smiling and laughter is therapeutic. And Anita Poet MC said, truth is medicine if and when we let it in. Inshallah, my word infuses and you life, light, and power. This is mouth to mind resuscitation, conveying positive energy physically and mentally that views and fuels your divine femininity. In other words, your energy. The Honorable Minister teaches us to work like everything depends on you and pray like everything depends on Allah. In conjunction with how to eat to live, righteously weaponize your food and drinks to fight for your health via culinary arts. Do not be in denial of the trial, beloved. My thing is, by the power of Allah, I will not be a victim of sickness. However, if and when I'm hit with an illness, there is a change in my internal and external language. I think and say to myself, I'm fighting. Whatever ails me. And my stance is all fighters get hit. But how will I respond? Feet at a 45-degree angle, hand with outstretched arms, eyes closed to this wicked world, and I got open palms. In case of disorder, we're taught to sound the alarm. God is the greatest. And as fighters of most disciplines are taught, at all times keep your guard up. Acquiesce to your healing energy, beloved. Keep your guard up. Keep your God up, beloved. You see what I'm saying?
Ooh. That's the kind of pep talk you need when you're not feeling well.
Good, thanks.
Wow. Okay. So I don't have like all my questions exactly mapped out. So just bear with me because I figured I'm a free flowing thinker to begin with. Okay, so you started in the poetry scene. You actually, when we spoke in our pre-chat, you didn't start as a poet.
Right.
So tell us about how you started in the community early on.
You mean how I started writing or how I was introduced to the poetry scene?
Actually, you said that you were a rapper first, which is what interested me, which caught me when you said so.
Okay, so I'll sum over briefly and then give as much detail as you want. Mm-hmm. So the first like self-inspired, I guess you could call them poems, were inspired by watching the JJ Fred G. Sanford and George Jefferson do like the one line, does the one line rhyming type poems, and basically in the dozens. when I was in junior high school. I would, write those. And then in '85, when Curtis Blow had came out with basketball, I was playing football at the time. So that inspired me that inspired me to write my first rap, which is about football. And I would say I wrote my first rap in '85, and by '86, I considered myself, rapping, battling people, you know what I mean, around, around my way and in school and stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. That you were battle you were battle rapping at first. Did you
Hmm.
feel? I know we are 30 years past. Wait a minute, we ain't even, you know what? I'm gonna leave those numbers alone. We're not gonna go into that math anymore. Um, but thinking back, did you feel comfortable battle rapping at that point?
I did, and when I say that, to be clear, well, the yes no answer is definitely yes, but I wasn't just a battle rap. I was, we rap, you know what I mean, and like at that time, at least, around my way, and then the schools I went to, battling, even though it was a battle, it really was just your rhyme against their rhyme. It wasn't necessarily the personal. I'm writing about you personally, and I've been studying you individually, and I'm doing, it wasn't that kind of thing. It just was, you know, my best rhymes against, his or her best rhymes, kind of thing. But they wasn't all battle raps, but that was part of what we did. That was part of the culture. People saying, well, you can't rap, he can't rap, she can't rap. Let's see, you know what I mean? So,
How did you transition to poetry?
well, the first thing I would always say, and I know I feel like it's far less controversial now than it was then. But
Mm-hmm.
like I've always been of the belief that while all poetry isn't rapping, I've always believed that rapping is poetry. And but I was basically introduced to it when I was watching Love Jones.
Okay.
Is really my introduction to the spoken word. And the thing that really appealed to me beyond some of the more obvious aspects of it was that um a lot of times with rapping, between the beat and the flow, sometimes people, get caught up in that. But by that time, I was a few years into, quote unquote, being an edutainer. So I had something to say, and I had, I believe I had a voice that I was developing, and the prospect of presenting the lyrics without the possibility of it being diluted by the flow or the beat was really appealing. It was really appealing to me, and I didn't know it wasn't until '99
Mm-hmm.
that a woman that I don't know how at a job that I was working at the time, a woman told me that National Poetry Month was coming up at the time, April, and she mentioned that there was going to be a poetry event at the downtown Enoch Pratt Library. So, and that's when I was introduced to to the scene. And I just say this and I'll pause, but like from literally day one,
Mm-hmm.
um, people were kind to me, not just as an artist, but just, as a man, and kind and sharing and giving in terms of, the information and, places you might want to go, people you might want to, meet and things like that. So a lot of what I strive to do on a day to day is me, trying to pay it forward, so to speak, because from basically from the time when I graduated high school, um, it was a number of years before I was introduced to the scene. So
Mm-hmm.
beyond an occasional cipher that I would run into on a humble, there weren't really performance out. Well, there were, but I was unaware of the the rap scene, and the poetry scene.
Well, even back then, just reflecting on that, the internet wasn't as pervasive as it is now. So unless you knew where to go, you didn't know where to
Right,
go.
right, right,
um,
right.
but even with the internet, I've had prior to the pandemic, I had several people tell me that once Warm Wednesday stopped, they thought that there were no more poetry events in Baltimore at all.
Right.
It was like,
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean, and again, that's why I mean, I just try to do my little part because a lot of people with music, same thing with the music scene. Like, I can't tell you like how many people it's like, man, it's nothing going on musically in our city and da 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 da, nothing. I'm like, man, it's stuff going on almost every day, bro. You know what I mean? But we just you know,
you got to plug in.
right, right.
That's the hard part, is you got to get plugged in. So I'm going to go into your nickname because I've heard it. Several people say it. You are the ambassador of the Baltimore poetry scene because you are pretty much on everybody's door. How did that? So from your side of the story, how did that start for you?
Man, praise be to Allah. Initially, it started. The first one was my brother, Eat a Poet MC, did an event, I believe, in 2000 at the Blacks and Wax Mansion, and I was on the door then because it was. I know I think I can say this briefly. Doing the door and the art of it and the discipline of it and the mentality and all of that is an outgrowth of the teaching and training in the Nation of Islam and the mosque. So it's just security and things like that is just what we do as part of it's so me coming into the poetry scene in general, let alone with my brother Eat a Poet MC. Shout out to Eat a Poet MC too.
Yeah.
Salute
Former
on so
guest,
many.
Eat a Poet MC.
Definitely. I mean, it's so many. I every time, as much as I can, I try to shout them out because so much of whatever good that I have been able to do, he's he's been my brother, been in my corner, a counselor. On so many levels. I'm super thankful for my brother. But anyway, it was an outgrowth of that. So, but then I think that aside from with E, I believe after that it was organics. Even before Organic Soul, Olu did Ladies Verse, and I was doing the door, and I was at the door for that for years and years, and then working with Olu, and then James Collins. Well, I was with Olu because at that time she was director of a organization, a collective called Poetry for the People, Baltimore. So a lot of times when we had the events, I wasn't the exclusive door person, but again, coming from the culture I come from, when I was cool with doing it because it was natural. It wasn't it's a labor of love, but it was natural to do it. But then the first weekly one I think was Organic Soul, and then like when he started the Spoken Word Revolution. It's a number of events, but
oh no, like I said, I've seen you. I think the first time I saw you on the door was at Warm Wednesdays, and then to see it come on forward now, where you're on the door now, it's just interesting. So that's the main reason I wanted to talk about it. Was there ever a time where it was like a nightly thing, or has it always been just one event a week or one or two events a week?
Yes, during the there was about nearly a 10-year, I would say maybe 8 to 10 year stretch from maybe like 2005 or 6 until about 2013 to 14, where it was not every day, but literally 4 or 5, and some days 6 days a week, depending on what week, what I mean, because it was it's like Verbatim Mondays, Organic Soul Tuesdays, like Warm Wednesdays, Bare Soul. It was a number of and then D Chase, I known D Chase from, since the early night. Actually, I met, D Chase at the mosque actually. But anyway, but I did the door at a lot of his parties, so people it'd be funny, like they're not even poetry events, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a blessing though, because um it's like initially it was, aside from the things I said before, it was pretty much like I was being paid to be at places where I already kind of should be. So it was like I had free admission and I was getting paid, to be at these places, and the networking opportunities that that it helped was super beneficial because ironically I'm kind of the most quiet, talkative person, if that makes sense. Like a lot of times I'm to myself, but being at the door, I have to engage people to do, to do it the way, to do it, the right way, and in the best of spirit. So that was beneficial,
That's
as
interesting to
well.
hear. That's interesting to hear that from, because as we start from as you started the conversation from a security standpoint, to hear you say that it also kind of forces you out of your shell a little bit.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Okay, so you briefly mentioned your faith and your background. How do you interweave that into your work, into your writing?
Um, I would say, I know I don't want to say, but I've been as an artist and as a man, I've really been working on brevity specifically for almost, no, really, no, I mean really, I mean like it
Oh
is
no, we're
funny,
gonna bring that
it
up.
is
We're gonna bring
it
that
is
up.
it is funny, but
Mhm.
I mean, well, we get to it when we get to it in detail, but so when I was in high school,
Mhm.
um as youngsters do, and even grown folk, we joke one another a lot, and uh, I was, oftentimes, joked about, this or that, and in all honesty, everything it's kind of uncool to say, but just keeping it a buck, um, it really, it really eroded my, my self esteem,
Mhm.
on a lot of levels, and so I knew how words could have, could affect people because words hurt me, as a as a young, young dude.
Mhm.
And at a certain point where I realized that, and this was just before my God consciousness and Black consciousness was sparked, but like I battled somebody, and it kind of dawned on me at a certain point that like this ain't even really about skills or rhyming skill. It's based. It's like who can diss one another the most and make it rhyme. It's not even, you know what I mean. And like, and at a certain point, I didn't really. I mean, I would do it because it kind of came with the culture, so to speak. But I really lost the desire to to do it. And then right in that same general time frame, in 80 in 88, my I guess since I'm talking about it, I talk about it. My Black consciousness was sparked. I was working at Wendy's at the time, and it was a brother, one of my friends. His mother had just gotten an '89 Camry, and we were where it was a Friday. We was working the evening shift, and this was the first time that his mother let him drive, her car when she wasn't there. And I had got there early. I was getting my eat on before the shift, and he pulled up. He had black Oakland Raider cap, the black Russell shirt, the black jeans, the black Nike Airs, the black bomber coat. And I was looking at, I said, man, if I didn't know him, I would swear he was a drug dealer because he was young and black and he had some things. And then the thought came to my mind, if he was white with the exact same things, I would think that his parents was well off. Why is that?
Mhm.
And that's what that sparked my my Black consciousness, so to speak. And then another thing happened, sparked my God consciousness. But in that time, I was hearing, Public Enemy and, KRS-One and, and Rakim, and I wanted to do that. I didn't have, I didn't feel as though I had enough of a knowledge base in me to really do it, but I didn't want to do what I was doing. So, um, from like 89 to 92, like I wrote just barely enough to let me know that I hadn't lost it, but I was kind of scary and frustrating because I never lost the desire to do it, but I just wanted to, I wanted to do the entertainment thing. I didn't want to be on the, the other thing. And my old rap name was Debonair D too, by the way.
Debonair, wow.
You know what I mean? But yeah, and and so, in 1990, that's when I joined the Nation of Islam, and basically, after being inspired by Chuck D and KRS-One in particular on the entertainment tip, I basically wanted to be like like John Belushi Farrakhan in lyrical form was basically my goal. And then I say one more thing, and I pause, but like in 2000, I was writing this piece. I wish I still have it, but I don't remember it any longer. But it was called, "What's Wrong with You Being a Girlfriend, Though You're Not My Girl." And some I don't know what it was about writing that piece, but it dawned on me that being like the minister isn't, the minister isn't just the orator. He's a husband. He's a father. He has a sense of humor. He's a businessman. He's many things. So wanting to be like him lyrically, I started to look and again, shout out to Eat a Poet MC, who is, I don't want to. It's not really a tangent, but I gotta shout him out because he's super instrumental in all of this. But like that, being like the minister, it encouraged me, and also being introduced to different poets on the scene at that time inspired me to look within myself and artistically and explore and express different arenas of myself that many people didn't necessarily know except for my friends. Like, like when I was into like a lot of people, I mean, you probably know, but some people, like a lot of people don't know like how silly I am. And, it's like, but, and so,
well, I've been listening to you on the stage for 13 years now. That number feels familiar. Because I didn't start coming around until 2009 to the open mics. So I've definitely heard your sillier side, your more fun side. I've heard your very serious and topical side, your love poems. Like, y'all don't know, if y'all haven't heard all of Aquil's work, he definitely dabbles into a little bit of all the genres. And it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear especially when he's relaxed into it. Now, one thing that you were known for, not as much as you used to be, but your poems used to be quite long, and you would memorize them. How?
So, it's funny. Like, it's funny the things like you learn on a humble, and the initial the start of it was when I was rapping. There wasn't, I never, none of us, there weren't no rap schools or rap classes or anything like that. It was just observation, you know what I mean, and participation. But like when I saw, my favorite rappers at the time and even rappers around the way, I never saw anyone reading from from a book. I always, they always had it memorized. So it just assumed to me that, if you were gonna, if I was going to be a rapper, then I had to memorize my stuff. And I knew I could do it because, we all know countless songs, without even trying to a lot of times. So I knew that I could do it. And to me, I didn't really, I considered it a blessing, but I didn't see it I feel like a better word choice in the extreme way that a lot of people brought to my attention on the poetry scene, because to me the only difference was, like, I remember I don't know why I remember, but I remember one time Black Chakra asked me the same thing you asked me basically, and I said I understand what you're saying, but you know, even though this it might be just one piece, in reality you probably have, and many other people have memorized just as much. It just, mine may be three poems in one, but you might have three different poems memorized. So it's not necessarily that my memory is more than the next man or woman or child. It's just that I would put him, in a poem, and which and I say this because I could hope so much it could be said about that, but like one of the things that I'm super thankful and grateful for was that when I had an experience. If you want me to tell it, I'll tell it. But
Sure, go
I
ahead,
had
tell the story.
okay. So kind of to maybe why part of why you asked the question, like I would often ask people, different poets, different patrons, whatever, what are some of the things that I need to work on to get better? And brevity was the most common denominator. And I was at the I was actually at the Bolton Hill Open Mic Series. Shout out to Alexander. But
Hey, Alex.
a poet was a poet was doing this particular poem, and this is somebody that I respect as a person and as a poet, on a lot of levels. I'm not gonna say the name because I haven't had this conversation with that person, but
Okay.
they were doing a particular poem that was lengthy, and maybe like 2 minutes into the and it's a dope poem. I mean, I heard is it maybe 2 minutes into it, in my mind, like, oh man, when is this joint going to end? How and immediately in my mind, I'm like, is the pot thinking the kettle is black? You know what I mean? And like instantaneously I saw, the humor in that in my mind. And then like, 3 minutes or however long or more, I'm like, oh man. And so that night, that's when it really dawned on me that when you have a track record of having a lot of lengthy poems, it not only affects people's desire and ability to listen to the lengthy piece, but it affects people's desire and ability to listen to you at all, because nobody wants to listen to what you're saying is a rap video, but they know that you might be asking to watch the Godfather movie. I mean, the Godfather is a great movie, but it's a long movie. I love the movie, but you get the point. So, and that's when I realized that it was imperative that I work on the brevity, because I run the risk of nobody wanting to hear me at all, for those reasons. So, and I'm super grateful that I realized that the vast majority of the lengthy pieces and even the epic length pieces were written in verses, kind of from my hip hop background, and in more cases than not, each verse can kind of stand on its own. So like instead of quote unquote having the people binge watch a whole mini series, now I just give people an episode or two, and and it works out like that. And so I actually super thankful that I didn't have to retire any of any of my pieces. I just like I said, just give people an episode or two instead of giving them the whole mini series, so to speak.
Interesting. I like that idea. So if you decided to produce a book, you could produce the whole piece in the book, but then only perform. I like that idea. Everybody, there's women. We have been told for others that this has been a masterclass for artists, for other people that listen, that there's always a nugget, always a jewel that somebody will give you. And I think we've just hit the first one from you tonight. That.
Oh, wow. Good, thanks.
So normally on the back half of my interview, when I ask my 10 questions, I always ask, do you have another talent? And it is in your bio, because I want to say the first time I saw you feature, you really weren't doing that many poems. You brought an orchestra with you because you were playing the saxophone. When did you pick up the saxophone?
Wow, I've had it a while. But in what year was that? 2004, I
Okay.
want to say, around there.
Now, being that it was later in life, Danielle is telling me she has pictures of you with the saxophone.
Oh yeah.
So being that most of the instrument players that I know or have met in my life were playing in and through high school, but you picked it up long after high school. We
Right.
everybody here's a secret.
Yeah, I was in my early 30s. Yeah,
Hold
no
on a
doubt.
second, I'm getting ready to tell everybody a secret. I think I just found out that Aquil and I might be almost the exact same age. I think we're the same age.
Yeah.
I've never known.
Year, yeah, this year in August, Allah willing, I'll be celebrating the 32nd anniversary of my 20th birthday. So
Well, my birthday is a month from today, and I will be celebrating the 33rd anniversary of my 20th birthday. So,
close. Right.
So how was it? Let me start with this question. Why did you decide to start learning to play?
So wow, it's so much that so in Rakim has a song he did a song called I Ain't No Joke. And there's a line in there where he said that, even if it's jazz or the quiet storm, I hook a beat up converted into hip hop form. And when he did that, not that GPS existed back then, but when I heard that line, that was like in like a musical GPS locator for where to find dope samples. So that fueled my an interest in jazz. And I was into music before that, just listening to stuff. So for years, on the humble, I would hear different things, and I would kind of take mental notes to like, when sometimes I bought records, like, this would be a cool sample, da 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 da. But it wasn't until 99, like again, shout out to Eat Poet MC. He was the first person that I knew that had their own CD out, and he was the first person that not only told me that I could do it, but he showed me how to do it. And not only did he show me how to do it, but gave me numerous counsel. But the first few studio sessions, he went with me, and he wasn't recording just as a brother. Again, salute. So working with different, and he introduced me to the first brother that producer that I was working with, brother Jahar Hassan, and working with him, and then with Sean Torre, super dope producer and dope MC. I was able to manifest a lot of the musical ideas that I had, the sample ideas, and things like that. I could give them the ideas, and they would do in the synergy and doing that. And then at a certain point, and I was also listening to jazz at this point, and even heavier. And at a certain point, the thought came to mind, said either I'm going to get some musical equipment or I'm going to pick up an instrument. And as an instrument, it was either going to be a saxophone or an upright bass. And I still had an affinity for both of them. And when I did the preliminary research, I realized that the saxophone was like far more affordable and easily transportable than the upright bass. So and I was at work, and I was talking to a customer on a humble, because I would be not physically playing, but on CDs and stuff at that time, or even tapes at that time, might have been, but music. And a lot of times I'll be playing jazz. And I just mentioned to him on the humble that I was thinking about getting an instrument. And he said, well, what instrument would you, if you, and I told him, I said, either saxophone or upright bass. And maybe like a week or so later, he came in the store and he had a case with him. I said, hey, and he said, I know, you never been to school, never been like musically trained or whatever like that. He said, but I know you know a lot of musicians. So he said, take the saxophone, have some of your musical friends, saxophone players check it out. If they tell you to get it and you want it, just give me $50.
Oh
So
wow.
$50, even at that time for a sax, that's damn near giving it to me. It fell in my lap. So that was a huge blessing. Yeah, that was a huge
Well,
huge
hold
blessing.
on. Because thank you, Danielle, for sending me. Wait a second. I thought I did that right. Let me try that again. The picture.
Oh, Poets for Dinner.
There you go.
But I don't. Is this the one that? Is this the one that she took, or one that Angelique took? I can't see it. I can see it, but I can't see it in detail.
Danielle, turn on your computer. Turn on your video. I see you. There you go. And you're muted. You're muted.
I know. I was like trying to take my jacket off so I can talk. This one is one I took. And I also have the one from, I have the big black and white one from when we did the movie Words.
Were you in Turtleberry?
Yeah. I have that one.
Right.
I have a print of that. So I have an artist wall in my house down. It's actually under this office. I have an artist wall, and the other one, the black and white, is downstairs on the artist wall.
Oh wow! Could you? Because I don't have. Cause I remember. I mean, I had some pictures that night because I hired a photographer, but I don't actually have this one. Could you tag me in it, or could you? I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good. That was a good night. Shout out to Grace. You know what I mean? It's like one of a lot of people. There's so many people. I mentioned Edith Poet MC a number of times, but so many people. Great. That have been really really kind. I mean, kind is an understatement. Just really kind of being in my corner as as a sister, as a brother. Super thankful. Like I remember, since you weren't here, Girl Genius, it might not have meant anything to you. I'm sure I said thank you, but I'm gonna say it again. Like I remember in what was this? Actually it was 2020, January 2020. A brother who's a cellist named Sheku Connor Mason. That night was I bought tickets to see him at the Meyerhoff, and that same night Mother Earth Poetry Vibes was happening, and I missed. I thought it was starting an hour earlier than whatever, and so I signed a list and I asked if it's possible I could go on early or first or whatever, but but then she just just blessed me to go early, so I appreciate stuff like that because you didn't have to do it. It's not like that. And it's not like you owe me anything or anything like that, but just it's just a lot of little stuff like that it might seem like a small thing to you or to other people that have done similar things, but like I'm super grateful, for certain acts of kindness, like that that I ain't necessarily deserve per se, but I definitely appreciate that. But like Grace, Rebecca Dupas, Olu, James, there's a lot of people that just a vessel. It's so many people that just have been there for me, when I called on them for this or that, even if I was paying them, but still, it's a blessing. I mean, I'm super thankful for my village, so to speak.
Oh my word. You're not going to have me in here
Say,
crying today. Come on, sir.
Listen, no, don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. I'm
We're
gonna
not
hop
doing this
out, so
today.
y'all do
All
the
right.
extra thing.
Yeah, we're not doing.
I'll send you the picture. Yes, and I'll send you the picture.
Oh, thank you, definitely, thank you.
Of course.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Girl Genius will be back shortly at the end of the interview when we talk about other things. But I'm glad she was able to send me that picture so I could share it with you.
Oh, that's great.
And everybody, if you get a chance, I'm going to say this right now, as we are, love the support from Analysis, love the support from Red Emma's. I thought it's coming back. Aquil featuring is you. Okay. I'm saying this twice because my brain is like stuck. You expect, because like I said, I've known Aquil for many years. He's a poet. So when I heard you hear Aquil is featuring, you expect a poet. No, Aquil shows up with an orchestra. It could be a cellist. It could be a violinist. It could be a number of instruments that will come along with it. So you may get 2 poems, but you're going to get 2 or 3 songs. How long does it take you to prepare for a set like that?
It depends, but I would say it depends. I mean, sometimes it was for those things, though, that was prepared for the one you're talking about. We had prepared for that we had rehearsed for not once a week for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's in the moment, like I just see somebody and I believe I'm blessed with an ear for music and an ear for how certain things topically and musically and otherwise can connect. So a lot of times unbeknownst to other musicians, I'm observing them. I'm sort of my own talent scout, so to speak, and like he does this, she does that. So sometimes it just I may have heard this cellist play like it's a tune called The Swan or something like that. That I might have heard them play that, and I might know the vibe of that tune is a classical song. That tune to go with my poem. So a lot of times it's not even that extensive. I mean, not that I don't want to play myself cheap, but sometimes it's that, and sometimes it could be anywhere from like a week, and sometimes a month or so. Sometimes a little longer, but again, it's so many talented musicians, and again shout out to Eat a Poet MC. One of the things that, well, I say it to give briefer. The advice that he gave me for working with hip hop producers,
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed to be able to transfer that same energy and that expression to musicians who are far more knowledgeable musically, and have far more ability on their instruments than I do. I know how to convey what it is that I that I want, and so that's a lot of it right there, because if you know what you want, you got an idea, then it's just a matter of connecting with the people. But that is definitely a blessing. That's a blessing that I'm super thankful for.
So where are you hearing these other artists at, or where are you meeting artists?
Right. Well, Organic Soul was one of the places initially. Sometimes you would see, and still do, obviously, different poetry spots, or quote unquote poetry spots. You'll see a guitar player or bass, but whatever the instrument is, flute, whatever the instrument is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just connect with them, or make a usually I usually wouldn't reach out to him until I asked him or her, until I had an idea of what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and a vision for what I wanted them to do. I usually intentionally try to do it that way, to, God willing, so they know that, like, when Akil calls me, they know that I ain't just wasting their time. That, and I try to be, I definitely, strive to be on point, with my business, to where, they know that I'm going to pay them on time, whatever it is that we agreed to, and thankfully and prayerfully, that foundation is their legacy or whatever is out there. But poetry spots, and in truth be told, like, one of the un the unintended blessings for me of social media has been, like, I've been able to become aware of, connect with, and in a number of cases, perform with a number of, musicians and string players in particular, through our social media. Like, I see them, and they in the DMV or whatever, and because one of my, I don't really talk about it per se much, but I put a lot of energy out, and people who watch kind of get it. Like, you actually alluded to it, you didn't, but like, Aquil Mizan with strings has been a vision, a dream, a vision. Now it's been, intentional for a number of years now. Something, that I've been, intentionally, working towards.
Okay. So, as everyone knows, to this part, actually, I'm going to give you this message, and then I'm going to go into what I was just saying. Analysis. I'm commenting just now because I've been having tech issues, but I'm loving the whole interview and learning a lot about my brother, even though I've known him for so long. Because Akil sits back, takes your money at the door, and is quiet and laughs and giggles with you. But he knows, and please know this, people, he knows all your poems. He knows all your poems. He cracked on me as soon as we came in, when we were talking before the show. So, so if you are watching not for the first time, you already know this. For everyone watching the first time, I end all my interviews with 10 questions based on from inside the actor's studio. And these are just 10 questions. The point is to get to know the artist a little bit better. Don't think long, just think it through. So actually, the first one I've already asked you, what brought you to writing poetry? You've already been through that one. So tell me the story of the first time performing a poem on stage. How did you feel about it? When and where was it? What was your experience of that?
It was at a bookstore that called The Essence of Thought. I always thought that was a super dope title in general, but for in general, and let alone for business. But there was a open mic there. I can't remember the sister who hosted it, and I don't remember what poem that I did. But I was received pretty well. I don't think I killed it, so to speak, but I did pretty well, especially considering that was the to my memory, my first time, performing spoken word. Again, I had, rapped in front of people before, but that was my first time, doing that in 99.
How did you feel about it afterwards?
I felt good. I felt good. I mean, I knew in my mind, I was, on a mission, and I believed that, I had a voice. I knew what I was striving to do. I just felt that I had to refine my, spoken word, delivery, so to speak. But, you live and you learn. I mean, I wish I'd have known certain things that, I didn't know then, in terms of, well, we already talked about the brevity thing to some degree, but like in terms of being visual and things like that, that I began to, work on, as in subsequent years.
But those things, I don't think any poet, any first time person is going to come to the stage knowing how to do it all. And I think that's the number one reason I ask that question is that I get so many people that will say to me, "Oh my God, I could never do that." Like get on stage and deliver a poem. And I look at them and I'm like, I've been doing this for 13 years.
Right.
I didn't start as polished and as easy is the word I'm going to use as I am right now. That's 13 years ago to today is two different things. And I will also admit, new poem in front of a familiar crowd or all my existing pieces in front of a crowd of people I don't know, I might as well be a new poet all over again, because that's
Right.
just how the nerves get.
Right.
I hope everybody is listening, because I wanted to double check this one with Aquil before we started the show. Aquil Mizan is your stage name. What made you choose this, and what do you want others to get from it?
I would say that I used to use. I'll begin by saying that I used to use, the term like stage name, a rap name, a pen name, because it's a concept that most people are familiar with. And at its inception, in 93, 93, it was Akil, and then I added the, Mizan in 94. That was how I perceived it. But then a few years into it, it kind of dawned on me that this really isn't just a rap name or a stage name, because this is who I am, or who I'm striving to to be as a man, as a believer, as a person. Because to rewind, what happened was in 93, me and another brother, brother Farquan, then known as brother James 9X, we had a little rap group, and we met with one of the brothers, from the mosque. He's a lawyer, and among an entertainment lawyer, among other aspects of law that he's proficient in. And somebody recommended that we have a meeting with him, and among many things that he recommended was that brother Arf, for those who some listening know, but he recommended that we get names, because then I was just known as brother Sean X. That was before I got the Muhammad. It's all it's, you guess whatever you want, but you know what I mean. So
No, it's
and so no, so he said it doesn't have to be a holy name or whatever like that, but just you need a name, So I thought about what thought and prayed and meditated on, like, what are some of my stronger attributes, because I'm and at that time I think my strongest attribute was that it seemed like I was blessed with an ability to go through different trials, and remain steadfast and faithful throughout the trials, and actually come out better in different realms as a result other trial. So I was told that the word Akil, who I captained, the brother Abdul Akil Muhammad. He was the trainer of the men at that time, but that's it. The minister gave him the name Akil, but he told us that it means one wrapped up in the mind of Allah. So I'm like, okay, that works. And some people say it means the wise, which is kind of synonymous, but I've always liked the one wrapped up in the mind of Allah, because to me it gives an inference of how one intends to use the wisdom. Because like, you could be a wise pimp, a wise drug dealer, a wise criminal, you know what I'm saying? But so when you say one wrapped up in the mind of Allah, it's like, it's not just wisdom, but it's wisdom with the intent to use it, in a certain way. So and that's what I has strived to do, as an artist and as a man. So hopefully it's not too long of an answer.
No, I appreciate the answer, because I told you, if you'd have asked me an hour and 15 minutes ago, this is your name.
Right.
And I was supposed to ask the other version of the question. And so it wasn't until I was like, you know what, I should ask just to make sure that I was like, oh, I did not know. Okay. I got this question from Dr. Rebecca Dupas, and I love it. On one of our interviews, she dropped into us, what is the name of the poem you haven't written yet?
What is the name of the poem that I haven't written yet?
Yes.
Wow, that's a very interesting question.
Ain't that a deep question? Or what is the I'll say, what is the name of the poem, or what is the subject of the poem?
I'm not sure if this is what she's alluding to because I reached out to her like last week, I think it was, to get some so shout out to Rebecca too. I mentioned her earlier, but on to get some feedback on a poem that my most recent poem is called Is Chivalry Dead, or and that's the title to the latest
Okay.
poem that I've written.
Perfect.
And,
who is your
yeah.
favorite writer? This can be a songwriter, poet, author, anybody you consider a writer.
It's hard to single out one, so I'll say
Mhm.
as even it's many songwriters, but one of my favorite songwriters had a birth anniversary yesterday, Smokey Robinson.
Mhm.
I just love a lot of his lyrics, and to me, and of course, a lot of people know that like he's been on like Def Poetry Jam and stuff like that. But if you from time to time, I've on open mics actually recited some. I mentioned that it was his, but recited some of his lyrics, and like he's just like one of the ones that I think I posted yesterday, not the song because he turned 84 yesterday, but like one of my it's so many lyrics of his that I love, but like he said, in Tears of a Clown, he said, like, if there's a smile on my face, it's only there trying to fool the public. But when it comes down to fooling you, then that's quite a different subject. But don't let my show convince you that I've been happy since you decided to go. I needed you so, I'm hurt and I want you to know it is some sad things known to man, but ain't too much sadder than the tears of a clown when there's no one around him. It's so many
Oh,
things that's like smoke, it's just,
Mhm.
if you could just say that, this, I mean, and that's another thing too. To me, song lyrics are poetry, and I love, one of the brothers, he transitioned, maybe I think like 2 or 3 years ago, but he would have had a birthday this past week. James Ingram. Like I remember when I was in high school, he's a phenomenal singer, but
Mhm.
just the words, you know what I mean? Like I mean, that's a whole other subject, but yeah.
No, it's okay. It's perfect because I don't think people realize as disrespected as poetry is sometimes. I don't think people really see how much of what they're listening to can be poetry.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I have told this story before. So if you've heard the story before, you can close your ears now, come back in 30 seconds or a minute. But there is a video of Kanye West doing Self-Conscious on Def Poetry Jam as a spoken word piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like it better as a spoken word piece. And understand, I have I'm not a big Kanye fan, but I thought but hearing him do it in that manner as a spoken word and then hearing it as a song, I like it, but it's on YouTube, y'all.
And if I could say this too, like one of the it's fascinating to me, like I said, one of the things that on the flip side, I was saying that one of the things that attracted me to spoken word was that it was the lyricism without the possibility of being quote unquote diluted by either the flow or music. But one thing that fascinated me about the poetry of songs is how sometimes the beauty of the music and the beauty of the voice is such that there's been times when I know personally, like I've sang, not that I sang performing, but just to myself and to the song, sang for literally 20, 30 or more years. And like, I didn't know that's what it was like. Like, I was watching this interview. I don't remember who the cat, well, he was a musician that played on, I think he played the oboe on Saving All My Love for You. Like, do you know what that's about? I mean, like, I didn't know, like, and basically, because I thought, as I think many, I'm sure I'm not alone, that Saving All My Love for You was about. I thought it was about, woman, she's digging this dude, she's saving all the love for him, and da 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 da. But really, and respectfully, the song is really about a side chick. So then listen to the lyrics. A few stolen
Yep.
moments is all that we share.
Yep.
You got your family and they need you there. I
Mhm.
try to resist being last on your list, but no other man's gonna do, so I'm saving all my love for you. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's amazing. I mean, y'all been singing that for
Oh,
years. I never.
Trust me, y'all. When y'all start really listening to some of these 80s and 90s lyrics, there's a song by Guy. Oh God, I can hear the tune in my head, but I can't come up with the title. Someone says, and that's why
Please, no
I reckon
question.
my nice.
I know the song. See, I can.
Oh, it's a Guy song. Oh, Piece of My Love.
Piece of My Love.
Yes. You open up that one, it's like, wait a minute, what did he say?
Right.
The number of songs about cheating and being a side chick, you just, until you really clue in, you don't hear them. So you can have a 1 hour conversation with anyone, living or dead. Who would it be and why? Yes, Piece of My Love is a whole side piece song.
1 hour. It's a lot of people, and I don't even. I'm gonna say, two, even though I know one of them.
No,
anyway, I was, Lauryn Hill and John Coltrane.
Oh, okay. I like that. And watch how this flows into the next conversation. Next question. And with you, this is going to be a lot of fun. Your perfect concert. 3 acts, again, living or dead. Pier 6 is set up for you. Who's going to be there? Who are you going to see?
We said give an immediate answer. So Phyllis Hyman is like one of my favorite all time. So Phyllis Hyman for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Gaye.
Ooh.
And I'm getting ready to think I'm probably gonna say Coltrane again, but let me think for a quick second.
That would be a dope
show.
And
Hold on. I'm gonna say John and Alice Coltrane is right, because a lot of people know, but it's everybody don't necessarily know. Like, his wife is a phenomenal, piano player, and she's a phenomenal harpist. So if yeah. So John Coltrane with his wife on harp, because though they in terms of recording, I don't think they ever, for whatever reason, she played with him on piano a lot, but they never played with her on harp and him on his horn. So yeah, that would be them. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us something about yourself that most people would not know.
That's interesting. A lot of people, but through my art, more people know how silly I am.
Mm-hmm.
So something you wouldn't know.
Well, everyone, while he's thinking, I'm going to let y'all know, you'll see his Instagram and Twitter handles above. Definitely follow him, because he knows everybody's birthday. Meaning, especially our legendary musicians and artists, he knows all of them. And he definitely posts about all of them.
Actually, can't. I don't know why. I know it's something, but I can't think of
It's
something.
okay.
You know, the
It's
people.
all right. It's all right. I'll let you have that one. So we know that you used to rap. We know that you write poetry and that you've learned to play the saxophone. Do you have another creative outlet? And if not, is there something else you would like to learn?
Mm. I, you know, I do it, but I don't. I'm nowhere near a. I don't see me becoming a graphic designer or a photographer, um, but I think I have an eye for certain, for certain things as well, and I enjoy. I don't consider myself a photographer, but like I enjoy taking pictures and finding unique angles, and even like when I post the pictures of the different people, like I enjoy finding certain pictures that portray different things that I may find interesting, and even the editing to some degree, that I'm not not that I'm a master at either one, but I actually enjoy that photography and in editing, that's something that I enjoy.
Okay. So this is my last question. So if you have another poem prepared for us, maybe?
I do.
Cool. So I'm gonna ask the last question, exit off screen. And then when we come back, everyone will come back with us and we'll ask you some questions. And again, if you are watching and you have a question for our guest, Aquil Mizan, feel free to drop it in the chat and we will definitely ask him. The last question, borrowed directly from inside the actor's studio. If heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say when you reach the pearly gates?
Oh man, I'm pleased you did, you strive, I can see that, that
Mhm.
you strive to, to do, uh, you strive to submit, to my will. You strive to, ideally, I would like to be, I'm certainly not there, but I would like to be able to say that, that him to be able to say, I gave all that I had and all within my power to, you know, to, uh, to be in accord with his, with his will.
Okay. Everyone, this is Aquil.
So this is my latest poem. I don't have it memorized yet, but it's called "Is Chivalry Dead?" Or daily without failing, he leaves his home and gets in his ride. When it's dark outside, for the love of his family inside. When he returns after work, it's dark again. Upon entry to their place, there's often a gut punch to his pride. Like a breathtaking body blow, he's hit with indifferent vibes from his fans for whom he put in so much work in to provide. Sometimes in his mind, he feel like he's a male banking machine, like he's just a guy. Then he went on social media timeline and saw a post where he was tagged in his mind and tagged in his heart, which said, "Men are loved and valued for what they can do, not for who they are." In spite of the burden placed on his mind, he stayed on his grind, though he's hurting and it's really tough to deal with. He believes his lady and his family love him, but at times he just don't feel it. But but how could his queen possibly be aware of his thoughts and feelings if he keeps them inside? Is it that she don't care, or is it because he won't share his emotions? Is she expected to read his mind? Have you heard the saying, no news is good news? Can you see why she may believe for the most part their relationship is all good? Though it's not his intention, is he lying by omission, by hiding his thinking? Is that why her outlook is that why is that fueling her outlook that's partially rooted in falsehood? It's a lot. He feels blessed that he's able to provide and take care of them. But sometimes he feels like it's nothing personal, just business, like he's an ATM fulfilling steady withdrawals, and it seems like it's little to no deposits. Men are the maintainers of women, and some say, why should they be celebrated for doing what they're supposed to do? Is this why he feels his works aren't properly acknowledged? During holiday season, he puts in hella overtime hours, and it's like another dude gets to cash the check. He leaves home mad early and comes home done late to different vibes like he's just a guy. And plus, his family is showing love, appreciation, and mad respect to Santa Claus. And they don't have no chimney, and they already know that guy would be scared AF to come anywhere near their hood. Black fathers rock. He's there because that's what a black man who's aware of his divine role and who cares does. As for the beautiful children, that they do not share his blood, he shares his love. He's not a stepdad. He's a dad who steps up. At the art of conversation at the Yaba Pot, the question on the floor was, is chivalry dead or? After listening intently to many, I shared my thought, which is that chivalry is not dead, but acknowledgments of acts of kindness is on life support. A culture of showing love and appreciation impregnates and gives birth, then indeed is an ever-present, wonderfully supportive nurse, aiding in the development of chivalrous boys to men desirous of engaging in acts which serve the greater good. Do you know how many times I see someone do a good deed that apparently wasn't acknowledged or cherished in? Do you know how much this kills the spirit of chivalry or at least discourages it? Well, we choose to support the life or death of chivalry. We'll see what happens. You do know showing us is better than telling us. We finna listen to your actions.
Bringing everybody in as soon as everybody else turns on their cameras. I'm bringing analysis in because I know he has a question because he's analysis. Hold on. There he is. Okay.
What's going on, bro?
Yo, what up, what up, what up? Man, I so enjoyed this. As I said in the comments earlier, it's funny how you know a person for years, and there still be so much that you didn't know and so much that can be mined through the interview. I know that's why the sisters brought you on, because we've all known you for years, and we've all learned so much, and I really appreciate that. And a couple quick questions for you, but I have to say something that has already been evidenced, that the sisters know, and everybody who knows you knows this, and that is that you are in a scene where, yes, the poetry scene is extended family and a lot of love and support, generally speaking, but that at times that is not the case, and that can falter many times. Something that's never faltered is the fact that you are one of the most down-to-earth, genuinely caring and loving souls that anybody could want to meet, and you've been nothing but such in the time that I've known you. And I appreciate that, and that may not get said enough, but that's who you are, and that's a blessing to me, and I know everybody who has interacted with you, so I really appreciate that.
Likewise, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, bro. Couple questions. You know the flow of venues and poetry venues, and you've seen them come and you've seen them go, and you've been instrumental in maintaining or in the efforts to maintain them. And I know Sherry and I have talked about this a lot, and others also. You look at the past 4 or 5 years, maybe, and you have seen the ending of a number of venues. And so a lot of the things that we've even talked about in this show tonight, and other venues that were long-standing staples in Baltimore and DC and Philly are no longer. And I've had the conversations in terms of why that is, whether what the difficulty is of putting live bodies in the seats and making enough at the gate to be able to cover expenses or what have you. And I don't know if you have any general thoughts on what you've observed, because the things you've mentioned, Warm Wednesdays, Art of Conversation, all these things which many of us have been either participants in or involved in. It's hard to maintain, but it seems like the past 4 or 5 years, long-standing venues in the Mid-Atlantic have ended, some have started. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the reasons for that. Secondly, you and I both write a number of our poems from a faith context, or certainly touching on or somewhat within a faith framework. And I think both of us try to do it in such a way that we're not bashing anybody over the head biblically or Quranically or anything else. but at the same time, kind of using the art form to touch on some things or unpack some things that we draw from a faith perspective. And I'm just wondering what the feedback over the years has been to you in terms of are people able to kind of see a new way of viewing faith questions or faith matters by listening to you, or people responding to you in such a way that, hey, you made me think about something from a faith perspective that I hadn't thought about before, just by your poetry and who you are?
The first thing that comes in mind, I am going to give an answer, but it might seem like I'm not answering it in a way for a second or two. But there is a scripture that often jumps out to me when I read it or think of it, wherein the God is asking Jesus what was response to the people, to your message. I forget the exact verbiage, but essentially, God was asking what was the response of the people to your message. How did they feel about it in their mind and heart? And Jesus' response was, I have no knowledge of that. I just say what you asked me to say, do what you asked me to do, and you're the only one that really, you're the only one that really knows that. But having said that, a number of people have come to me in different ways. They didn't know how down to earth and palatable spirituality and religion in general. And I get, and in my case, even though I've written from the Bible and the Quran. I mean, but like how down to earth it can be, even if you're not a person that considers yourself, Christian or Muslim or Jew or whatever your Hindu, Buddhist, whatever your faith tradition is. So I try to. I believe that the understanding that we're given is universal, and that a lot of times, when we dealing with, as I think as poets, as writers, we are familiar with the term synonyms. Well, I believe that like there's such a thing as like spiritual synonyms. So a lot of times, I don't just look at the label, I look at the essence. And that the essence of, all of these religions is, obedience, submission, to God's will. And we might, big up this prophet or that prophet or whatever. But when you really look at the core and the principles, it's way more, way more in common. And I just say this and I'll stop on that part. There's no doubt in my mind that, if Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, were in the same room, they would be at peace. They would be, dapping each other up. They would be, brothers. They would be one. There's no doubt, whatsoever. In terms of the it's different reasons. I mean, with the events, but what comes to mind to me, and this is something I thought about a lot, but I rarely have said it because ironically, I don't kind of, even though I talk a lot, I kind of don't talk a lot, if that makes sense, until people ask me certain things. But like, my thing for the most part with different venues is like, I'm far more thankful and grateful for what I had as an individual and for what we had as a collective than I am sad about what we no longer do. It's almost like, like it just might, again, it might sound like a peculiar way to go with it, but it's like, even though a lot of times at funerals, there's a degree of sadness because of the loss of life, but a lot of us, who know that it's really a celebration of their life, and it really, and and not to say there shouldn't be sadness, but it's a beautiful thing. So for me, like I think of, many fond memories, as a patron, as an artist, as a doorman, verbatim Mondays, warm Wednesdays, all the conversation, and so that's the lens that I predominantly look at it through. I mean, a lot of I do think about, what happened with here, and because sometimes I don't know, sometimes and like I'm for fear that it might be misinterpreted. I'm not going to say like, but there's some events that I've been meaning to ask the host for years, and I just when I see them, it's not on my mind. But I'm thinking, I wonder what happened to someone, because sometimes I don't know. You just this event just stops, and we know that it stopped, but a lot of times we don't necessarily know the why. So that's kind of if that.
No, I love the way you phrase that. I love that. You know what? It makes me think on that whole thing a little bit differently, and with more of a measure of peace. I think that was a brilliant analogy in terms of, as a funeral, there is something to be said about celebrating all of these venues and remembering them with a smile on our hearts. Even if they have gone on. Even if they aren't functioning. I mean, I love the way you phrase that. So.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. The rest of the Keep the Mic On team, if you all have any questions for our special guest.
Yeah, I want to know, about your real name and your birth name and everything. I started to just jump in here and be like, what?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I want to know what them folks who birthed you, named you, raised you, the people. Is it a secret, or can we know?
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh, I was gonna say.
So, give me the question. I hear what you said. I just want to, because there's a whole bunch that could be said, but I want to make sure that I answer the direct. Give me the.
Okay.
Child, or you just want me to speak on it? I can do that. Okay.
What's your birth name, honey child? And then if you don't, and if you don't want to tell the whole world,
it's all good. It's all good, Sean. It's all good.
Sean. It's Sean.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna call you Aquil. Okay.
Right, no, I appreciate that. I'm gonna
call you Aquil.
I'm gonna say this right now. During the pre-show, and I'm gonna say this live on streaming so everybody can hear it. Normally during the pre-show, which is about 15-20 minutes before we go on live, everybody is in the room. Tonight, everybody didn't get here until about 10 minutes to 5 minutes to showtime. So it was just me and Aquil in the room. That's when I found out.
What? Before I came on?
That's when I found out. Wow. And so I know when this dropped, I'm like, I am so happy we had that conversation, Aquil, so that I could drop it on everybody like that.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, wait, what? What you say?
Well, yeah. It's a whole story. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I love talking about it. I just, I don't even know if we did get to the brevity thing, but like the only thing that when I am sometimes reluctant to answer questions is because a lot of times I take a little longer to answer because I try to think, how can I say it succinctly? Because a lot of times in my mind, I feel like sometimes, this is just my subjectively speaking, I feel like I'm asked questions that require a conversation, but sometimes people want the Twitter response, so to speak. And then in a sense of the, 40 characters, whatever. So that's the only thing, but I love talking about it. I have no, it's all good because it's the whole thing. I mean, Sean and, I joined the nation, got my, Sean X, and when the February of 96, the minister gave us the name. It's a whole, I love to talk about it. Just let me know. But I just don't want to talk your ears off if you know what I mean. But
no worries.
I want to tell you, I have an appreciation for your analogies. I really do. I always have. I have such an appreciation for your analogies. Like, I was listening to you just now when you were talking about Twitter, and I was like, actually, it's funny. Do you know why Twitter's like that? Because it was made for text messages.
Right.
The 140 characters is made for text messages. Like, you were supposed to be able to text from your phone to Twitter. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. That does make perfect sense. That
Yeah,
makes perfect
yeah.
sense.
Does make sense. I have thoroughly enjoyed learning so much. Don't know you as well as the other ladies. I remember though, because when Simply Sherry was reading your bio, I was like, yeah, that's how I knew your name, Aquil, obviously not Sean. I didn't, Aquil. I was like, okay, I know the name, was buzzing around. And I did an event in Baltimore. It probably was 2014, 2015, the gathering. I do an annual event. Haven't
At the
done
UB
one.
Blake Center.
Yeah, at the UB Blake Center. And I remember, oh my gosh, Akil's going to be at my event. I didn't even know who you were. I just know your name preceded you. And I was so excited to have you in this. I was looking for a picture. I couldn't be like Girl Genius, man. I was like, yo, she got pictures. I got pictures too. But
No, I got a picture that you took, believe it or not. Yeah, I sent it to you. I mean, you took it because I remember I wish anyway, because I like I be thinking about visuals a lot when I'm at, and I remember the brothers was playing the percussion, and you can see him in the back. I'll inbox it to you, but I actually have a picture. I'll send it to you right after
I
that you took from
appreciate
that
it.
day.
That was such an awesome event for me anyway, and I remember being so blessed to have the famous Aquil Mizan in the room. So it's good to see you again and learn so much more about you. I do have a question. So it was nice to hear and interesting to hear, because like I said, I've learned a lot tonight. Starting off as a rapper, you play the sax. You even talked about being able to communicate with other musicians when you have a vision for a project, which I've done projects. And I always laugh about this because I remember being in the studio for the first time. I'm a poet. This is a musician. And we talking two different languages. I'm like, it feels green. And he's like, dude, is it an A? Is it a flat? What you want? And I was like, come on, let's work together. So it was kind of intriguing to me to see that you could communicate with other musicians. When you hear, or when you are brewing, a new poem is brewing, do you hear words? Do you hear rhythm? Do you hear music? Or all three?
I feel it's more of a vibe thing than, for me. It's a vibe thing, and it's a thought thing. So it's like, almost like, I don't know why it's a analogy, but it's like, if you I hope this don't come out because okay, no, but it's like if you try to set the mood, for you and your significant other, like, you might put on, I don't even need to mention names, but you already know that, it's probably something chill, it's probably something relaxed, da 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 da. So for me, I think about the vibe of it, and then it's just the thoughts. It's not really like it's not necessarily that I hear, violins and cello and at its inception. Then when I think about how the ideal musical landscape that I would like to perform it with and or record with, then I think the details become, more clearer when it gets to that point.
Yeah, makes sense. That's cool. The vibe. Okay, I got you.
I'm laughing because when he said, when you play music and you set the mood, I was in my head, all I thought was, as long as you don't play Piece of My Love, we're cool.
All right, so we are running overtime. So I'm going to ask Danielle to ask our official last question of the evening.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to in advance say thank you. This has been a really, really, really awesome interview. And again, I'm in the room too. Like there's so much here that I did not know that I'm so glad I now know. And so it's been wonderful.
Thank y'all for having. Thank y'all for having me.
I definitely
yes, thank you. Finally, and thank you. Let me publicly thank you. I thanked you before we came live, but let me publicly thank you for always supporting us, always sharing. I mean, I look at your events all the time, but I mean, it's not something that I asked you to do. And I just want to say thank you for always sharing events I mean, I found out a lot about a lot of the Baltimore events from you as well. Just like, getting your share. But thank you for promoting us and without being prompted to do so. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for doing what you do.
Yes,
because it benefits me too. I mean, like I said, all of y'all and the scene has been it's been good to me. You know what I'm saying? As as an artist, as a man, on so many different levels. So it's like it's not a one-sided thing. It's like I do that, but part of that is again me trying to give back the love that different individuals in the scene, have shown me. It's the village is has been really good. It's really been good to me. So I try to pay it forward. That's what daily. I try to do that.
Good job of paying it forward,
man.
Indeed,
I appreciate
you
that.
definitely are. And I know that there are probably 100 hosts 100 poets in between Baltimore and DC that are 100% thankful to you for the care that you take care, how you take care of us in general, and how you make sure that basically if you're on the door that the count is right, because sometimes that's a thing.
Right.
Letting us know that honestly, because I'm gonna say it this way, Aquil, if I walk into a venue and I see you on the door, I instantly feel more comfortable if it's someplace I've never been before.
Yeah.
I instantly feel more comfortable, and that is a gift that you give to all of us.
It is.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a blessing.
You're welcome.
Definitely appreciate that.
Okay.
And
all right, Danielle.
And now the question. I wanted to make sure I said that before I threw the question out there. But now the question is, now that you have been on the show, and this is going to be real interesting coming from you since you know everybody.
Right.
And you name dropped previous guests already.
Right. Who do you think would make a great guest on this show for any of the segments, not just this one?
Remind him of the segments, though.
Right. So I do books and authors. Miss Cayenne does passion projects. Kaniki does poets and platforms, or the segment you're on is from behind the microphone. So, I mean, who would you like to see on the show?
It's a few people that come to mind, but I'm trying to think if you to pick one.
It doesn't have to be one. You could throw 3 or 4 out there, and probably we may have had them on here. We may not have. I don't know. We always like to find out from people who are on the show, like, who do you want to see do this show?
Let me think of somebody's unsung. Give me a second or two, because there's a couple of people come to mind. Well, the two that came to mind, first was the brother from Shice.
Oh yeah,
that's right. We have. Oh wow.
He's not been here. He's on the list, but he's not been here yet.
You're right.
And
he is
on
the
my April. Shice, if you're listening, if my April don't get back to me.
I just revamped the list. His name is on the list. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Okay, 2 other people. If I can't, he might have done one. Have you? Man, why is Kristen? Have you Kristen B?
No, we have not had Kristen B, and we haven't had a singer on here in a while either.
Right.
We have not, and wait a minute. And I'm going to say it's not that I wasn't thinking about her, but my Music Month feature kind of presented themselves to me. But Kristen is definitely been on the list.
And I'm gonna mention another singer, like it's a lot, but Cindiva. I don't know if you
actually. I have talked to her. Cindiva is actually, and we need to get her on the show, and it's definitely my segment, but I'm waiting on her.
Okay.
So I will, but she is definitely on the list because she definitely has a story to tell, and and I definitely want to talk her through it. But I want to talk with her about it, but when she's ready. Thank you, Aquil. So first off, everyone in the room, let's Let's give these applause for her.
Oh man, thank y'all. Thank y'all. I appreciate that, man.
I am so excited that you were here, Aquil. I'm so excited. I'm so touched, and I'm so happy. And I am full for this evening. That's all I can say. Everyone, we will be back next Sunday at 7 p.m. with Poets and Platforms with.
I have Vocab. She is the first African American poet laureate of San Antonio. So yes, listen.
Oh,
She's
yes,
she's a singer. She's the poet laureate. She's amazing. You definitely don't want to miss her.
So
Wow.
we will be back next Sunday. Everyone, please, please, please stay safe. Wash your hands. Join us back here. We will definitely be back. And everyone, please have a good night.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Have a good life.